Hello everyone and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Why are tensions flaring up once again in South China Sea? Is the Philippines being used to this end? Are tensions in the South China Sea precursor to a wider conflict? The South China Sea, a critical maritime crossroads, which is rich in resources and strategic importance, has long been a flashpoint in Asian geopolitics. Recent clashes between Chinese and Philippine vessels underscore the escalating tensions that could potentially lead to a broader regional conflict, drawing in not only local actors but also global powers, including the United States. In this analysis, I explore the implications of these clashes, analyzing how a local dispute could spiral into a significant international crisis. The recent confrontation marks a significant escalation in the ongoing dispute between China and the Philippines over territories in the South China Sea. Reports indicates that a routine patrol by Philippines vessels near the disputed Spratly Islands was met with maneuvers from Chinese forces, culminating in a tense standoff that risked turning violent. The incident is a stark reminder of the fragile status quo that exists in one of the world's most contested and strategic regions. As I delve deeper into this topic, it behooves us to place these developments within its proper historical context and strategic importance. To understand the potential implications of these clashes that's been happening now, it is essential to consider the strategic importance of the South China Sea. Without understanding that, we won't be able to understand the big picture. This body of water is not only rich in fishing stocks and potential underwater oil and gas reserves, but it is also one of the busiest maritime routes globally, facilitating a significant portion of world trade. Sovereignty over this region offers economic advantages and significant geopolitical leverage. Historically speaking, the South China Sea has seen a competing territorial claims from China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. China's claim, marked by the 9-dash line, encompasses most of the area and overlap with zones claimed by other nations, leading to the recurrence of tensions as we are witnessing. Historically, China has never sought to establish an empire of the sea in the South China Sea, but rather Beijing has always treated countries bordering the South China Sea on an equal basis. To date, China has exercised the utmost restraint in safeguarding sovereignty, claims, rights, and interests in the South China Sea. Then, what about the role of the United States? The West argued. The United States, though not a claimant in the South China Sea disputes, plays a crucial role in the region's dynamics. Committed to ensuring, for example, freedom of navigation and the flow of commerce, the United States has frequently conducted what we call freedom of navigation operations. The purpose for it was to challenge excessive maritime claims. Moreover, its mutual defense treaty with the Philippines means that an attack on the Philippines forces could invoke a U.S. military response. As a result, potentially pitting the world's two most powerful militaries against each other. Though I don't see that happening. I am reminded of a 2020 article written by Kong Piu, the current ambassador of the PRC, People's Republic of China, to Canada. The article's main theme is that China was and still is firmly opposes any act that undermines the sovereignty and security interests of countries along the South China Sea, under the false pretext of enforcing freedom of navigation. It is no secret that the United States has frequently sent warships and aircrafts to South China Sea to project their martial presence, using this freedom of navigation excuse to justify their actions around argued the ambassador. Equally important, the ambassador noted, and I quote, "It is reported that the U.S. military aircrafts have conducted more than 2,000 sorties in the South China Sea during the first half of 2020 alone." End of quote. The argument continued. The U.S. has been an aggressive meddler through its continued attempts at the disruption of peace and stability in the region. What I find very problematic is that the United States is not a party in the territorial concerns of the South China Sea issue, nor is the U.S. an adherent to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Yet, the U.S. has repeatedly meddled in the South China Sea issue in a vain attempt to drive a wedge between China and ASEAN countries. Then comes the question, what about the wider regional and global implications? Well, the recent clashes are not merely a bilateral issue, but a focal point of a wider regional and even global concerns from three aspects. One, regional stability. Southeast Asia as a region stands to lose the most from any conflict in the South China Sea. A full-scale confrontation could disrupt the ASEAN's unity and economic integration efforts, potentially polarizing its members along pro-Chinese or pro-American lines. 2. Economic disruption. Conflict in the South China Sea could severely disrupt global supply chains. Given the volume of global trade that passes through these waters, any sustained military conflict could have catastrophic implications for global markets and economies. 3. Global security. The involvement of the United States and China in a conflict in the South China Sea could escalate into a broader military engagement, drawing in other powers and possibly leading to a major global conflict. One thing is sure, I hope Philippines learns from what's going on in Ukraine. And make no mistake, we are not going to fight on behalf of the Philippines, no matter what you hear. Here is my conclusion for you. I like to keep this brief. The recent clashes between Chinese and the Philippine vessels in the South China Sea represent a dangerous escalation in a long-standing conflict. These events serve as a troubling sign that regional disputes could potentially lead to significant loss of life and draw global powers into a wider conflict. It is critical moments for diplomacy and international cooperation. The international community, along with the regional stakeholders, must work diligently to de-escalate tensions and find a peaceful resolution to the disputes, recognizing the disastrous consequences of failing to do so. As a geopolitical analyst, I warn, the path forward must be treated carefully with an acute awareness of the historical tensions and the stakes involved in the South China Sea. Remember, hit the like button and subscribe. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Thank you.